What do you get when you mix boxing gloves, millions in taxpayer money, an angry MP, and something called consulting fees? No, it's not the plot of a dodgy political thriller, it's real life in Parliament. And at the center of the ring is DAMP Liam Jacobs, delivering uppercuts of accountability to Boxing South Africa while they stumble around trying to explain why they spent more on award shows than on actual boxers.
Much, Chairperson. And then there was silence. No, I'm playing. So, Chairperson, look, I think one of the reasons I might not be as vicious now is because it's a new board. With a new board, it's a new broom, and we know how new brooms do. You buy them at Verimark, and your house is suddenly way cleaner than before. Some even buy the Chinese ones, where you just switch it on and then it goes all across the floor by itself, right? That's the new brooms. But, and you knew the but was coming, but I do recall seeing the same people that were here last year when we met, here again. So that implies to me that there are people that are in some form of a capability to answer certain questions about financial statements. Am I correct in saying so? Am I correct in saying so?
Yes, you're correct.
I'm correct. Thank you very much.
The acting CFO would be in the position, and the COO was also part of the previous financial year.
Okay, thank you very much. So my questions are not as much quantitative questions as what I previously asked, because those were largely covered by the fact that in the presentation you did display some form of an understanding of your qualitative statements. However, there seems to be a lack of direct reporting on what you are doing. So, for example, you'll say that your target was 100 and you'll just say you did your target, but you don't tell us what your exact performance was, what your exact output was. It's standard procedure that when you come to the portfolio committee, you give us the specifics, because we want to know the specifics so that we can do the maths behind the specifics, right? So, on that, I want to ask you, the first thing here is, I see that in your financial statements, you paid 773,530 Rand in 2024 and 2,154,547 Rand in 2023 on what is called consulting and professional fees. Can I please get clarity on what that is, what it means, and what you paid it for? I do it interpolation style, so I want the answer.
Okay. No, thanks, Honorable Member. The acting CFO would, if you could just zoom to that specific transaction and give an account of what it is for.
Okay, thank you, Honorable.
I think the mic is a bit far.
Is it far? Okay.
Yeah, there we go.
So that's consulting fees.
Consulting and professional fees, yes.
Yeah. Okay. So the reason why there's an increase from the previous year, which is 2022-23, to the year under review, is that there was a boxing awards event which took place in Durban in the 2024 financial year. So there were a lot of consulting work that was appointed, which made an increase to this value,
okay,
to this amount.
So what I'm gathering is that you spent about 8% of your budget. Your budget is about, or your grants is about 20 to 26 million around there. You spent 8% of that on an award ceremony. Is that correct?
That's correct, yes.
You spent 8% on an award ceremony. Okay? I just want that on record, because I think that when boxers themselves and their coaches look at an 8% that was spent on an award ceremony versus millions that could have gone towards, and it is millions, if I added up 2.1 million plus 770,000 is about 2.8 million. If I add that up, that is 2.8 million that went towards professional and consulting fees. Right? Now, you said it's for an award ceremony. Is that an award ceremony that took place over 2 years? Because
No.
I see 2023 and 2024.
No, it happened in July of 2023. That's why it falls within the 2023-24 financial year.
Okay, then what is the 2.1 million?
2.1 million.
Yes, in 2023.
It's all consulting fees. The
Yes.
majority of it relates to the BSA awards.
The majority of it. What's the rest of it?
Yes. What goes in there is also consulting within BSA, if there's any.
So you pay yourself to
consulting
consult
work.
yourself?
Well, we sometimes need professional, experience or.
Don't you have that professional experience yourself? What for?
I am not sure, sir. It's
You don't
just
know?
it's different consulting jobs which were appointed during that financial year.
So you don't know what those consulting jobs are?
I can't really tell you at this point.
Why can you not tell me at this point?
It's a very detailed list, sir. It includes BSA
No, you can tell
awards
me.
and other consulting
You can
fees.
tell me. The answer won't be there. The answer will
one
probably
of
be
them
in
was
front
a
of
study which was conducted, a case study, which I think the consultant was hired by the previous board
Mm-hmm.
to conduct a study, of which.
Just tell me what it was about, quick.
I can't give you the details, sir.
But you were about to tell me of a case study.
As a finance person, you know about the cost, you know about the appointment of a service provider, but the details of what the research was about.
Okay, then who
and
must I
how-
ask? Yes,
The CEO can come through. Thanks.
No, thanks, Honourable Member.
just a quick one. I don't want a political answer here. I
I'm
want a
giving
factual
a
answer.
direct response. There was an exaggerated use of these consultancy services, and I'm going to give you examples during the period under review.
Bullet point them for me, please.
Yes. For example, there was a lawyer who was on a retainer with Box in South Africa
For how much?
for, I think that's about 120,000 the colleagues per month.
Per month?
Yes.
You paid 120,000.
100
You paid that man's salary per month.
120,000 retainer of a lawyer. That's one. Two, there was an
And you're admitting to this. This is something that happened. 120,000 per month. For retain a lawyer.
yes, because
My goodness gracious. Yes?
and then secondly, there was frivolous use of legal services. I'm going to give you an example.
I'm going to come to legal fees still.
Okay, so when it comes to those type of consultancy fees, it was things like that, and I think
Things like what?
an example that I've just given you now.
Yeah, what? Give me some more.
And then two, during the boxing awards themselves, there had been various service providers who also came in as consultants. So those issues
Who
are part of the
what did they do?
basket.
What did they do?
So that I don't know, and that is what the forensic investigation must now respond to.
So
I
you
think
don't
that-
respond to it?
Yes, so because we wouldn't have all these answers. But I think what we have also identified is that there's a problem here, and in the scope of a forensic investigation, those issues are also now part of that basket.
So you don't know what the problem was. You are saying yourself that you must be investigated and your organization must be investigated for this.
Definitely, yes, that's what we are
100%.
saying.
Okay, thank you for admitting to that. Then I want to ask conferences and seminars. In 2023, you spent 987,344 Rand, and then in 2024, 2.1 million Rand, which is 2,155,192 Rand. What were these conferences and seminars about, and why did they cost this much? And how many people came to these conferences and seminars, especially in 2024? Hello.
I'll answer
I feel
that.
like a teacher in a class.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the conferences and seminars, unfortunately, also relates to the venue for the BSA awards. So it's basically the
So-
BSA awards.
You clump them together, conferences and seminars.
Yes, and also the training, when we conduct training to our licenses, when we hire venue, but a bulk of it was coming from the
bulk.
awards.
And what was the rest? And you say the awards, right?
The award
So-
for that in July
So
2023.
the consulting and professional fees and the conferences and seminars is cousins,
yeah.
right? So you are saying that you actually spend, it's going to go up now. You spend about 12% then on an award show. You spend 12% of your budget on awards and
Yeah.
not 12% on developing athletes. I don't know about you, but a handshake is not going to develop me as much as hard yards inside of a ring. That is the truth. So then I want to know, your seminars, you said the bulk of it. What was the rest?
The rest was when we organize training for our licenses, when we hire a venue to conduct
How much
the
was that
trainings.
venue cost? And where was it?
It was in Durban. Is it ICC? Yes,
Durban ICC? How much it cost?
I can't give you the exact figure because it will be other items which were added in that cost, sir.
Chairperson, it's again a matter of the homework is not being done now. It's being done in the lecture, Chairperson. And that can't be the case. You're supposed to come here knowing exactly what for what is inside of your financial reports, because that is what you come to account on us on. So you are saying again you don't know the exact specifics.
I don't know the amount of the conference for the PSA awards.
Okay, and then in this 2.1 million from 2024, what was it? I'm just as shocked as you that there's 2.1 million for conferences and seminars in 2024.
Honorable Jacobs, this is the second.
Yeah, it's mine. Vince Blennis. Thank you, Chair. Through you. I think, Honorable Member, we are cognizant of the challenges. I think as what the Chair has mentioned in her opening remarks is that there were strategic things that we came and we found as the new board. We found all these different challenges. We have identified all of them and we've listed them. I think some of the stuff that you are mentioning, rightfully so, has been equally a concern to us. And just to, not to appease you, but to let you know that these items have been listed by ourselves, and I believe that through the forensic investigation, some of these matters will then be addressed accordingly. At this point in time, if the truth be told, we did not come prepared to deal with the specifics in as relates to.
So you did not come prepared to deal with the specifics?
Well, with regards to
yes or no?
Line items.
Yes or no?
The answer is no.
Didn't come prepared to deal with the specifics.
With
I hope that when you come back for the National Film and Video Foundation, Mr. CEO, that you come back with the specifics, that you come back with line items. Because this isn't the only board that you're sitting on. We are well aware of that. So when you come back in a new board, you must come with specifics, please and thank you. I want to get back to my questioning, Chairperson. I then saw 5.5 million
May I
on
just
traveling.
ask with the interpolation, if one speaks, finish, just switch off your mic because I can't hear properly from the side.
Then I saw 5.5 million for traveling, thank you very much, Chairperson, and 3.9 million for traveling. How and why? Where were we going to? Were you going to New Zealand? You're going to Alaska? I'm very interested.
Honorable, it's the travel expenses for, different activities, which also a lot of it emanates from the PSA awards, but it was a travel for the board, for staff, through different activities.
So in a year, board and staff, and there's 17 staff members. 17. Board and staff. And how many is in the board? 7. Right? 7. 7 plus 17. In 1 year, 2023, 5.5 million. In the next year, 3.9 million. Just on traveling. So let's go back and add it again. Chairperson, I'm wrapping up here. Let's go back and add it one more time. This will be the second last time we add it up. 5.5 plus 1, 6.5 plus 2.1, 8. 32% now spent on traveling and seminars and conferences. It's unbelievable, yes.
Thank you, Honorable Jacobs. Once again, Chairperson, on the 27th of August, we were here at Parliament, and one of our recommendations was this thorough, independent, forensic investigation. That's the only way, Honorable Jacobs, that will be able to reveal what was transpiring during that particular financial year. We were here and we did recommend it on our report. Hence, we would wish that it can be expedited. Because there's an issue there, Honorable Jacobs, that most of the people that are here, including me, we were not there. Now, and also the departure of our Chief Financial Officer during the month of February, made it more difficult for us, to dig deep in some of this information. Hence, we would really request that, this issue of this forensic, investigation be done so that we can know who are the culprits around this particular issue. That's just my
you.
response, Chairperson. Thank you very
Chairperson,
much.
I'll wrap up now, and then I just want to say, are you telling me that the previous board and its administration covered up so well that you couldn't go back in your accounting, that they hid their books under rocks that you couldn't go and find the books, that they hid their books in Google Drives that you couldn't find, that they hid their books inside of files online and clouds online that you could not find? Are you telling me that that was the case and you could not then prepare for this meeting line by line on that? Yes or no? Did they hide the books?
No, they didn't.
Then why didn't you look through the books?
It's difficult to know the amounts line by line in the income statements, but I think your comments are noted. We'll look into that.
Are they just noted?
No. They'll be actioned thoroughly. We'll next time we'll come prepared.
I'm
to know
looking
exactly.
forward to the outcome of the forensic investigation, Chairperson. That forensic investigation, I'm going to study it like it's Bible study on Sunday. It's going to be a fun time. It's going to be the best time, and I'm sure myself and my colleagues are going to have the most fun with that forensic report, and we are also going to have the biggest after tears after that forensic report. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Yeah, I just have to add.
Yeah, you heard that right. While athletes are dodging potholes on their way to training, the suits are out here booking venues and printing glossy invites for galas. Let's dive into this knockout drama. So, picture this. It's a regular day in Parliament. Committees are dragging on. Some MPs are sipping water, others pretending not to scroll on their phones. But then, boom, Liam Jacobs walks into the Portfolio Committee on Sports and drops a verbal haymaker. He points straight at the officials from Boxing South Africa and says, "Explain this to me like I'm 5 years old. Why are we spending millions on award shows while our athletes are struggling to survive?" Silence. You could almost hear the tumbleweed roll across the committee room. Now, before we get into the juicy details, let's talk about the basics. Boxing South Africa is the governing body responsible for licensing, regulating, and developing professional boxing in the country. But apparently, they've been playing a different kind of game, one that involves creative accounting and champagne receptions. Back to Parliament, the CFO, trying to keep his cool, starts muttering about strategic visibility, brand alignment, and yes, the phrase that makes every South African's blood boil, consulting fees. Oh, consulting fees. That magical term that can justify anything from hiring your cousin's cousin to pay R3 million for a PowerPoint presentation titled, Fighting Forward. Jacobs wasn't having it. He leaned in, looked the CFO dead in the eye, and said, "So let me get this straight. Instead of investing in young athletes, developing gyms, or even buying gloves, you've prioritized award shows. Where you celebrate. What, exactly?" You could see the beads of sweat forming on foreheads across the room. And it gets better. According to financial reports, Boxing Saw spent over R7 million on a string of lavish events over just 2 years. Venues at top hotels, catering costs that would make your grandmother faint, and yes, massive payments to consultants, whose job descriptions are foggier than a Cape Town winter morning. But here's the kicker. During the same period, complaints were pouring in from athletes about delayed payments, lack of funding for training camps, and even no-show medical support during matches. One young boxer said he had to borrow money just to buy tape and Vaseline. Yet somehow, Boxing Saw could afford imported linen napkins at the awards gala. Jacobs asked the one question on everyone's mind: who actually benefits from all of this? Because it's certainly not the athletes. It's not the fans. And it's definitely not the communities where boxing could be changing lives. So who? Well, according to the CFO, these events help raise the profile of the sport. Right, because nothing says grassroots development like sipping bubbly while your sport's future can't even get a pair of boots. And just when you thought it couldn't get worse, Jacobs brought out the big guns: audit findings. Turns out the AG had flagged multiple irregularities in Boxing Saw's books, including payments made without proper documentation, inflated invoices, and, wait for it, phantom consulting companies that seem to exist only on paper. Imagine that, an entire company created to receive money for services no one can describe. By this point, you could feel the temperature in the room rising. Jacobs, known for his sharp tongue, compared the whole thing to a bad episode of Uzalo. The drama, the money, the mysterious consultants. All that's missing is a soundtrack and a cliffhanger, he said. Even some of the MPs couldn't help but chuckle. But underneath the laughter is a deep frustration. South Africa's sporting sector, like many other public institutions, is plagued by mismanagement and greed. And it's always the same script. Budget meant for development gets hijacked, officials throw big parties to celebrate each other, and when questioned, they hide behind buzzwords and bureaucracy. And the worst part, these decisions don't just waste money, they destroy dreams. Every cent misused is a missed opportunity for a young talent who could have gone on to represent South Africa on the world stage. Jacobs made that clear. We can't afford to lose another generation of athletes because some officials want to feel like celebrities. So where does this leave us? Well, thanks to Jacobs' relentless questioning, the committee has now recommended a full financial audit of Boxing South Africa. There are whispers that some contracts may be referred to the SU for investigation. And the Department of Sport is being pressured to freeze further funding until answers are provided. But let's be real, we've heard this tune before. Investigations get launched, reports get written, and somehow, no one ends up in handcuffs. The public forgets, the next gala gets scheduled, and the cycle continues, unless this time we actually pay attention. Unless people like Jacobs keep applying pressure, and we, the public, refuse to let this story fade into the background. Let's give credit where it's due. It takes guts to stand up in Parliament and call out these issues when it's so much easier to look away. Liam Jacobs could have just nodded, collected his stipend, and gone home. But instead, he chose to shine a light on what's been happening behind the curtain. And that's something worth paying attention to. Now, for the record, Boxing South Africa has promised to cooperate fully and review internal policies. But you know what would be more helpful? Transparency, accountability, maybe even, just maybe, consequences. Until then, athletes are left to wonder if their hard work, discipline, and sacrifice will ever be valued more than a red carpet event. One thing is clear, if sport is supposed to unite the country, then the way we fund and manage it should reflect that same spirit. So next time you see a photo of a glitzy awards ceremony for Boxing SAW, ask yourself, how many boxers were in the room? How many young talents were supported by that evening? And how many more will walk away from the sport, disillusioned and broke, because no one cared enough to put their needs first? Jacobs' grilling may not solve everything overnight, but it sure as hell made a statement. And hopefully, it's the start of a much-needed reckoning in South African sport. Because while punches are thrown in the ring, the real fight, the one for fairness, integrity, and respect, is happening in Parliament. And it's about worth watching.